Hi, Timothy Carlson here, and we're going back and checking out some pretty cool CD box sets that I picked up lately. One of the latest being this from Neil Young. This is the 50th anniversary edition of Harvest, Neil's most famous album and the best-selling album in the United States in 1972. We're going to take a look at this box set release. I'm going to share my opinions and let you know if I recommend this or not. Nice close-up there, the artwork that we all know and love. Here's the side of the package with the information. I don't know why they couldn't use that same logo that was on the cover. That's kind of boring and very tiny print. Other sides are just blank. Here's the back cover. Got a nice photograph from that era. There are 3 audio CDs of content in here, as well as 2 DVDs. We'll get into those in a minute. Let's take a look now at what we have inside here. I did put the hype sticker from the shrink wrap inside the box there. First of all, we get a pretty nice little mini poster of the Neil Young and his band set up in Neil's barn on his farm. So that's a pretty cool piece of art from that era. There's also an ad here for the Neil Young archives that you can subscribe to. First of all, of course, we have the classic 10-track Harvest album remastered and reissued. Here's the track list and inside the gatefold. This album, of course, is the one that spawned tracks like Heart of Gold, Old Man, and The Needle and the Damage Done. Personnel on here include his band, the Stray Gators, who he was using at the time, as well as production from people like Elliot Mazer, Jack Nietzsche, Henry Louis, and then even people like James Taylor, Linda Ronstadt, Stephen Stills, and David Crosby have guest appearances on the album. Here's the CD itself. Kind of got that vintage Reprise Records look to it. That's a pretty nice looking disc. We then come to a 3-track CD. This is Harvest Outtakes. This is basically 3 additional songs from these sessions that didn't make it onto the album. Here's the CD, kind of the same deal as the first one. The tracks that are on here are Bad Fog of Loneliness, Journey to the Past, and Dance, Dance, Dance. The third and final CD is a February 23rd, 1971 BBC concert that Neil did. This would have been probably about a year before the album came out. Apparently the creation of this album took a while and was pretty involved. Here's the CD. Again, kind of the same deal there. And the songs performed on here are Out on the Weekend, Old Man, Journey Through the Past, Heart of Gold, Don't Let It Bring You Down, A Man Needs a Maid, Love in Mind, and Dance, Dance, Dance. And it's interesting to see Neil all by himself, just him, his guitar, his piano, and his harmonica, no backing band members. So that makes that an especially interesting performance. Next of all, we have a DVD of that very same BBC performance. So you get the visual aspect as well as the audio. There's the DVD. And again, this is pretty much the same thing as the CD I just showed off, just it's a DVD with the video content as well. But arguably the biggest highlight of this package is the unreleased film Harvest Time. This runs nearly 2 hours long, and it chronicles the making of the album and everything leading up to it. We see Neil on his farm performing with his band, setting up ways of recording these songs. We see him performing with a symphony orchestra. We see him in a radio station. We get to see him go around and do a lot of interesting stuff here. And while this documentary could have used a little more editing, I don't know that the 2-hour runtime was necessarily needed. It's an interesting piece of history and a look at how this album came to be. Here's the disc. That actually looks very nice. There's also an insert in here as well. And the last thing we have in here is a hardbound booklet. So this has some interesting writings and some photos from the sessions and everything that ultimately would become the Harvest album. I'm not going to show off every single page in here, but there's some very cool stuff as well as lyrics. And this is a nice look back in history 50 years or so ago. And like I said, Harvest is arguably considered to be Neil Young's definitive album. This is not to be confused with the similarly titled album Harvest Moon, which came out 20 years later. There are some great tunes on here, hits and deep tracks alike. I mean, Neil Young had a tough act to follow with his previous studio album being After the Gold Rush, which was practically nothing but hits. But this album really showed that he was no flash in the pan, and the fact that the guy's done 40 plus solo albums since then really says something. I mean, I don't necessarily love every single thing that Neil Young records, says, or believes in, but I respect this man immensely as an artist, and I do think this is a very nice package, and any fan of his, I think, will be happy to have it. Probably the only real complaint I have here is that the audio material would all have fit on one CD. I really wish they'd done that, maybe saved a little bit of money in the process, maybe made this package not take up quite as much space, but that's a minor complaint. I think everything in here is going to be of major interest to Neil Young fans. Are you a Neil Young fan, and do you think Harvest is the best album he's ever recorded? Have you picked up this anniversary package yet? Comment down below and let me know what you think. Also, remember to subscribe to this channel for more content, because I'm always posting new videos, and be sure you give this one a like if you found it helpful. I'm Taylor T. Carlson. I'll see you next time.